Hello, welcome, stop and turn on your sound. We've got an amazing show for you today. Today we're going to be talking all about partnerships and collaborations. Okay, make sure you have your sound turned on. Okay, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Doyle. I'm the founder of creativeflow.tv and a business coach for creatives. So you know people like photographers, website designers, graphic designers, people in fashion, writers, filmmakers, all of the above and many more. So what we're talking about today is partnerships and collaborations. And this is so important because even if you don't currently have a business partner now, you probably will be wanting one in the future, or perhaps there's some more informal partnerships that you're going to be working on. Now, please do share this out as well, okay? I want to get as many creatives who are going to see this as possible. And so let me just share this out here, and I'll be with you in a moment. While I'm doing this, share this out, but also add your questions in the comments because I want to hear what it is that that you're going to be, what questions you've got, what challenges you have around this. Okay, so let me just do this. Apologies, I normally have somebody do this, but they're ill. So, and I just want to make sure that people can actually come and join us. Okay, watch now. And post. Great, there we go. Okay, so got a couple of quotes I want to share with you all around this. One from Steven Spielberg, and he says, I love creating partnerships. I love not having to bear the entire burden of the creative storytelling. And when I have unions like with George Lucas and Peter Jackson, it's really great. Not only do I benefit, but the project is better for it, okay? Now, so this is some of the reasons why people might want to have partnerships, is they're not having to do everything on their own. I mean, you know the saying, it's lonely at the top, but actually it can be lonely getting to the top. And in fact, for some people, they might find it nigh on impossible to get to the top unless they're able to bring other people along with them. Okay, another reason why people might want to have a business partner or partnerships is because maybe they have skills, particular experience or perspectives that they don't have. You know, I've seen quite a few times people saying, oh, I have a great idea for a website or for an app, but they don't have the technical skills to actually make that happen. So then how do you do that without either, having to get funding or, maybe without having to put in a whole load of your own money? Well, one way is to have a partnership. But you've got to make sure that it's set up in the right way. Another reason why people might want to have a business partner is to share the workload, okay? Is that, generally speaking, running a business, it does tend to be a lot of work. Now, obviously, if you follow, the things that I've been sharing in my weekly show, because this happens every time, every Wednesday, same time, same place, and you'll understand some of the strategies that you can do and how to focus in to, try and cut that down. But, it's still going to be a lot of work to do. And if you can spread the workload, then that makes things so much better for you. And when you do that as well, you get results faster. And that can only be a good thing because the pace of change is only increasing. It ain't going to slow down anytime soon, okay? So, yeah, you really need to be doing that. Okay, so what are some of the challenges that you might have with having a business partnership? Now, these might be some things that you've experienced or perhaps that you're worried about experiencing. So number one is slackers. I've come across this a few times where I've been, maybe looking to work with somebody and they have a business partner and the business partner is really holding the business back, okay? Now, this might be because they just don't do the work that they're supposed to do, or it might be because of their own confidence and self-esteem issues. I had that with one of my clients a few years ago, and through the coaching that we did, she actually ended up, separating from that business partnership so that she could go and do her own thing. Unfortunately, if people aren't willing to grow and change, whether that's kind of personal stuff or whether it's more, strategic and kind of skills and strategies, all those kinds of things, then, sometimes it is better for the relationship to dissolve. So another reason why people can have challenges in partnerships is because of differing visions, okay? Everybody has to be going in the same direction. And if you're going over here and your partner or partners are going over that way, then that does not help, okay? It means that every single decision that is made is going to cause an argument. It means that, you know, it's just going to have an awful lot of tension and arguments and people not getting on. And I'm not saying that business partnerships have to agree on everything, okay? But there are core business things that you must agree on. And sometimes discussions, like there's a difference between a discussion that is looking to come to a resolution, that is coming to do what's best for the business, that's best, you know, for your clients and the people you're looking to serve, and arguments where each person is entrenched in I'm right, no, I'm right, you know, and that is not what you want to have. It's not a functioning business partnership at all, okay? I have also come across situations where one person is really looking to grow the business and the other person says there is, but they're not willing to do any planning. And, you know, and that person is like, well, is this just this person being a kind of, okay, I know they're creative and they can be heads in the clouds, but they have a complete unwillingness to plan anything, and this is holding the business back. Well, you know, so you've got to look at these kinds of things. You know, where do you align and where don't you? And we're going to get into that in a few moments in the steps that we're talking about. Okay, so we've talked about why you might want to have a business partnership, but we've also talked about some of the challenges and pitfalls that you might face in doing so. And listen, you know, I've experienced this personally. You know, there was a short film project that I worked on a few years ago, and one of the other people, and it was really interesting because this person wanted to kind of be in partnership with me from a business point of view. And so, well, look, let's just do this project because I knew that I wanted to kind of see, well, what do they like to actually work with? And they turned out to be a nightmare. So, you know, it's, this can happen. I've had clients come to me. In fact, I've had at least 2 clients, and I know of at least 1 or 2 other cases as well, where somebody's business partner has embezzled them. Now, I'm not saying these things to scare you off partnerships because they can be fantastic, okay? They really can when they work properly, but you've got to make sure you're putting the right steps in place. And in fact, Brian Tracy, and if you're into personal development at all, you'll know that, you know, Brian Tracy, he's been around for a long time, and he says, if you like a person, you say, let's go into business together. Man is a social animal after all. But such partnerships are fraught with danger. And I think they can be when you start to go into business with your friends, because I think because you trust each other as people, there's kind of this halo effect that they're going to be just as trustworthy in business. And whilst they may be in terms of integrity, you know, they may be or they may not, because, you know, the way things work in terms of you know, how you are friends together and what that means for your relationship and actually working in a business together are 2 completely different things. And I do know of one case where somebody went into business with their classmate from uni, and then a year later they had to kind of get rid of them out of the business because they just were not pulling their weight at all. So enough about the disasters. I want to make sure that you know what steps to take in order to make sure that this is a success. And by the way, at the end, I'll also just let you know, I often have a free resource that, you know, that I'm kind of linking to in these, you know, because I want to help you. And actually today's is actually to get some time with me. So I'll talk more about that at the end, but watch out for that. Okay, so here's the steps, okay? Number 1 is do not rush. Okay, a business partnership is not to be taken lightly. You wouldn't have a few meetings with somebody or a few dates and then marry them. It's exactly the same in business. I mean, we talk about this in the sales process, but this is even more important if you're actually going to be working alongside somebody, okay? So do not rush. There are things you need to do that I'm going to talk about in the next steps that take time, and they are not overnight things. And I know us creatives, we love to get going and we're great at starting things, but trust me, you do not want to be one of these horror stories that I've been telling you about. You want to make sure that you have an amazing business partnership that's real fun and where you really achieve things, you know, and where you can have that sense of belonging as well, you know, and the right business partnership will give you that. Okay, so here's some practical things for you to do as well. So number one, you need to have an agreed vision. You need to, write it down and put all these things in writing, okay? Because it's one thing to talk about it, but when something's in black and white, you have to put it in more detail. And I know detail is something that us creators can often be challenged with. So put all these things in writing, because then suddenly seeing something in black and white makes people go, oh, actually, I didn't quite mean that. I was talking about this. And it really helps to kind of, bring out any differences in views and opinions. And it's really important that those are, brought out, put on the table and discussed to make sure that, things are going to actually work out properly for you. And obviously part of that is kind of really getting a grip on, well, why does your business even exist? Who does it really want to serve? What does it really want to help them with? What pain or challenge is it helping them to overcome? Or what aspiration is it helping them to achieve? So, because if you don't have the same why, you're definitely not going to get the same what in terms of your vision. The next thing is where we're talking about the who. And so this is where, even if there's only two of you, you must define your roles and responsibilities. Now, obviously, as your business grows, you can bring more people into play, and then you can either add on roles and responsibilities that you guys just didn't even tackle in the beginning, or, you can start delegating out some of your things so you can really focus on where you're going to, actually add the most value. So, you want to make sure that what you're doing there is really aligned to your strengths. Now, I want to show you something else, okay? Ta-da! Now, those of you who've been to my website may well have seen this already. So this is the Wealth Dynamic Square, and each of these names around here is a different personality profile, and each one of these profiles has got different strengths and weaknesses, okay, certain things that they're challenged by. So for instance, these three here, it's a bit hard to do this in reverse. These three here are all very high, head in the clouds type people, very creative, very innovative, but in different ways, okay? So they would have different business models and different business strategies that they would, kind of follow with. Down here, we have the more grounded people who are really connected to the marketplace, tend to be much better at admin and customer service and kind of day-to-day planning and project planning and things like that. Over here, we have the more extroverted people, and they are often good at marketing and sales, anything to do with engaging people, okay? That's what these people tend to be really good at. And here, we have the more introverted people who tend to be more analytical, more interested in data and systems and processes and editing, things like that. So the thing is that understanding which profile you are and which your partner or partners are can really, really help you to understand who takes the lead on different projects and processes and promotions. And also there are times when you want to think about this more as a relay race as opposed to somebody having, a particular role at a particular forever, okay? So it might be the case that whoever's up here, maybe they're the MD to start off with, but then maybe as the company grows, then actually maybe somebody over here would take over, and then later on somebody down here might take more of a lead, because it all depends on what stage of growth your business is at as well. So there's a whole load of stuff there, and I could do a live on each of those for a very long time, because there's so many different things in there. But this is what I want you to be thinking about, okay? Because there's a particular formula of what are the best 3 profiles that would make the perfect starting team for a business. So these are the things to look at, and you can talk to me about those. Okay, so the next thing is that you must have a plan. Now, the last live that I did, or was it the one before? No, it was one before. 2 weeks ago, I did one about your next 90 days, okay? And I talked there about planning and how to do that. So if you're not naturally good at planning, go back, check that out. I give practical steps on that. Yeah, so you can follow that through. So, because the thing is that the plan must have measures, okay? It's no good just kind of saying, oh, we're going to achieve X, Y, Z. You really need to be looking at, well, how are you going to achieve it? Who needs to be involved? When are things going to happen? What are the key milestones that you need to be hitting by when? And what are the measures? Okay, now I don't know about you, but whenever I did plans in the past, I completely missed out all the measures. In fact, when I first set up my life coaching business, way back in the day, and I went to the bank manager looking for an overdraft, and this guy actually gave me an overdraft without seeing any numbers. Okay, I was able to talk my way into that, but I really wish I hadn't been able to. If he had made me do my measures, I might have taken some different actions and followed some different strategies that would have been much better for my business. So make sure you put your measures in there and then look at them again. It's no good just putting them in a plan. You know, you need a working plan to actually have your business working properly. And this is what the next step is about having a rhythm and review, you know, in your business, where you actually get to review your projects and your processes and your promotions. You get to review what everybody's doing and how well they're doing. You know, you're looking at what could be done better, what works, what do we need to be doing more of, and you want to make sure that there's a rhythm for that. Okay, so you're building that into your business and into your calendar. Okay, and it's, you know, and it could be just as simple as we have a monthly meeting to review XYZ projects. And obviously if your business is bigger, then it's going to be a little bit more complex, but you know, the principles behind it are actually quite simple. And this is often one of the things I'm working on, where there, you know, it's not just a solo business owner, but where there is one or more teams. This is usually not in place in creative businesses, in my experiences. Now, if it is in place in yours, please comment, let me know. I'd love to hear about that. Okay, the next thing is, and this isn't a kind of sequence necessarily, because this is something you want to be looking at in the very early days, and this is having a legal partnership agreement. Now, if you don't know who you'd even talk to about that, just give me a shout. I have some great suppliers in terms of accountancy, in terms of legal help, in terms of financial advice. I know some brilliant people that I can put you in touch with. I'd be happy to do so. But the thing is that one of the key reasons to have a partnership agreement is to actually discuss how are you going to handle things if things don't work out, and how are you going to handle things if things are an amazing success. Sometimes businesses take off, and actually people go, well, I'm not enjoying it anymore because I like being in this stage, okay? So they want to go off and do their own thing. So you need to discuss and agree all of this beforehand, because if you don't, it could turn into a complete nightmare. Who owns intellectual property? What about the assets? How are they distributed? Did people put money into the company? Or even just about their time, you know, and you know, how things actually got going, and what are the shares in that, okay? So these are all things that you do need to be looking at. And then, you know, this is such an important thing. And it's about values, and it's about behaviours. Now, what's very interesting is that, you know, oh gosh, when I think of my, you know, communications background and a lot of the kind of corporate values exercises, they just make people go, oh yeah, all right, you know. But trust me, in your company, you are going to want to do this. And it's not enough to go, oh, we value trust and honesty and integrity. Okay, yeah, everybody is those. What you need to get clear on, what are the behaviours that are acceptable and what are the ones that are not acceptable? So for instance, one of my recent clients had some staff that weren't very good at taking feedback. And they would take things very personally, and things would get very awkward, and it would just kind of stop the conversations dead because of how they behaved. So, you know, obviously things like that can't be acceptable. You can't run a business where you can't give feedback, you know, in an appropriate way and it not be received in an appropriate way. So that's just one example. But, you know, so you need to get clear on what are the behaviours, how do we want to behave, and as we grow, how do we want the people that work for us and that we work with to behave as well. And actually, this is not just about other freelancers and suppliers that you might have working with your company, it's also to do with your clients, okay? Because whatever way you and your partners and your staff behave, then that's actually how, you know, what kind of clients you're going to attract or repel, as the case may be. So this is important, but it's got to be something real. It can't just be a kind of lipstick PR exercise, you know, done for the sake of doing it so we can go, oh look, we have values on our website. You know, that's not what this is about. It's about really getting clear of how do people behave on a day-to-day basis, okay? So, and sometimes what's interesting when you talk about behaviours is that things that come out are not necessarily to do with values per se, but they're actually more to do with how people think and act because of their natural profile. So for instance, there's one company I know of, an events company, okay? And so they did some of this work, but before they did that, so they had two directors in the business. One is a creator profile and the other was a Lord profile. And so the Lord profile very much was sat in the office all day, was working on the computer, was there kind of, you know, set hours, and felt that he was working very hard and doing, you know, a lot more work than the creative director. Now, the creative director was off out all the time. He was sharing the vision far and wide. He was networking. He was holding, you know, kind of meals to kind of research the market and to kind of, you know, connect with people and to form partnerships and things like that. And doing a great job of that. But the interesting thing is that these people were clashing quite a lot because each thought that the other person ought to be doing what they were doing. Okay, now that kind of completely goes against the whole philosophy of people working to their strengths, but at that point they didn't know that. So you need to be aware of, well, what is driving people's behaviour or driving their expectations of behaviour? Is it their profile or is it, you know, is it actually a value-based thing? So, you know, this is why I'm saying you can't rush into business partnerships and collaborations. You do need to take some time, and even if you're only looking at it on a project basis, as opposed to a full-blown business partnership, please still take the time to look into these kinds of things, okay? To make sure that there is absolute clarity and visibility in terms of everybody's expectations and in terms of how things are going to work on a day-to-day basis. Because look, I know what it's like. It's really easy for us to get caught up in the excitement of an idea and rush off and start to make it happen. So this is definitely a case where you want to slow down and just get into a bit of the detail so that then when you get going you can really go at speed, okay? So yeah, all right, so have you got any questions? Let me just check and see, can I see any questions here? If not, I have some ones that, oh, sugar. Let me just check and see, can I see any questions here? If not, I have some. My sound doesn't seem to be working, excuse that. I have my sound turned off already and yet somehow that was playing. Okay, this means I can't see your comments because I can't open this up. So I haven't seen any scrolling. So let me just share with you a couple of questions that I often get asked about this situation. So one was from somebody who had already had a bad partnership, and they were just really like, I have been burned, but I don't know how to go forward without getting another partner. It just doesn't really seem feasible, and for their type of business and for their particular types of skills, they kind of really needed to be working with somebody else. So one of the first things that we talked about was, you know, me saying, okay, well, what can you actually take from that bad experience and turn that into the positive experience of understanding what signs to look out for in your next partner, okay? And also it's about taking your own responsibility for your part in that, okay? In any relationship, two people are responsible. And if one person is behaving badly, the other person chose them in the first place and to some extent is letting them behave badly, okay? So quite often in these situations, people need to be looking at their own patterns and issues around trust, around boundaries, you know, and all of that. So you've got to get really clear on, well, what can I learn from this? And maybe there's a bit of personal work to be done around that. And just really getting clear on, and write this down, what would you do differently if you were faced with that exact same situation again, knowing what you know now? That's going to give you some very clear steps. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of those were what we've just been talking about, but maybe you got some extra things there. And if you do, put them in the comments. I want to know what they are. And then the other thing is, I think it's really important to get people to show that they mean what they say. Now, this can be as simple as when somebody's coming to you with the opportunities, and the better you're doing in your business, the more opportunities you're going to be presented with. But that does not mean that they are all good opportunities for you. And this is where you need to learn discrimination in terms of the best strategies that are best for you, but also in terms of the best people to work with, okay? And a really quick way to sift through those is to get somebody, say to somebody, put this in writing and I'll have a look at it. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, it won't happen. They will not put it in writing because they're doing a lot of this and not a lot of the kind of actually getting on with the work of it, okay? If they do put it in writing and you think it has merit, then what you need to be looking at is, okay, let's look at some other opportunities to do something with this person, even if it's just exploring the idea. Do they do what they say they do? Do they turn up on time? Are they prepared? Have they really thought through, you know, the idea and how you're going to work together? How do they react when you talk about taking the time to explore things properly? If they are impatient and rushing you, that is a very bad sign. Okay, and believe it, look, and this is exactly the same in personal relationships, okay? A really clear sign that somebody might be getting into an abusive relationship is where the other person is rushing them to move in together really fast or to get married really fast. You know, that kind of thing within weeks or just a very few months. And I'm not saying every situation is like that, but it typically is one person is looking to control the agenda and to actually make things cemented so that people can't get out of them, okay? It's exactly the same in a business relationship. So you want to be looking, take off those rose-tinted glasses, especially if you're talking about collaborating or getting to business with a friend. So, hey Mark, I'd love to hear your experiences. I know you've got some businesses that you might be able to put in here. So we're talking about where somebody's already been burnt with a bad relationship and what they should do. So take responsibility for your part. What is it that you need to learn from that? What would you do differently? And start slow and test every step of the way to really look clearly at what people do, not what people say they do. And you know what? That sounds really obvious, but you would be surprised how challenging that can be because quite often our own stuff is getting in the way. Okay, so another question that I've been asked around this is, what if my partner is trying to get me to behave the way that they do, but that I don't want to do that, okay? Now, sometimes, as I said, it might be a profile thing. So is it that they are a different profile from you and therefore they have different expectations about how to behave? Because generally speaking, people don't realise often how different people can be. People tend to think, well, everyone's like me, aren't they? Whatever things they find easy, they think other people find easy. Whatever things they find hard, they think other people find hard. So, you know, remember that when somebody is, you know, trying to get you to behave a different way, or maybe you want your business partner or collaborator to be behaving a different way. So it could be a profile thing. It could be a values thing, okay? Is it that actually they're just operating from a very different place from you? And then you need to talk about that and discuss it and see, is this something you can live with or not? And if it's not something you can live with, then obviously you need to be having some talks. And then, you know, sometimes it's just a bit of an emotional immaturity, emotional intelligence kind of thing, where, you know, it's easy for adults to actually not be that grown up. So speaking is one that, you know, still feels like I'm about 23. You know, and this can come through in your business and in how people behave. And if you're really serious about having creative business success, like regardless of whether you do events or whether you're a filmmaker or, you know, whether you do design of some kind or apps or games development, you know, if you want to have a successful business, it is time to get serious. And I don't mean you can't have fun while you're doing it. You absolutely can. And if you're not having fun, you need to be, you know, looking at why not. But you know, it's sometimes time to just actually, for a while, I'm going to need to put my nose to the grindstone, and so is everybody else. But the key thing is to do it smart. Okay, work smart. Don't just work hard and get overwhelmed and things like that. You need to be getting really clear on what are your strategies, what's the best business model for you and for your partner or partners, and you know, what's your plan that's going to be the easiest way for you to get the best results that you want. Okay, so apologies, I can't check for the comments on this, so because of this sound thing, I'm not sure what's happening there. So please put your comments in anyway, any questions you have, share your experiences, I'd love to hear them. I will come back, I'll get a little notification ping when you do that, and I will come back, you know, before not too long, and answer and respond to your questions. Okay, I'm going to wrap things up. I just very quickly before I do, I just want to remind you of what it is that we've been talking about. So, you know, the benefits of being in a business partnership is that you get to spread the workload, you get to have differing perspectives, which can really add value. You don't have to be doing it all on your own. You know, it can be a bit lonely sometimes. And you can get, you know, people might have skills that you don't have, and you can get to move faster. You want to avoid those situations where you're working with people who might embezzle you or just don't do the work or have got such big issues that, you know, they're not actually going to be helping you move the business forward, or you're actually looking to go in different directions. Instead, you want to make sure that you have an agreed vision, that you have defined your roles and responsibilities, that you have co-created a plan, and this is, you know, the roles and responsibilities in the plan are based around the strategies and tactics that suit each of the individuals within the business, that you need to put in place a rhythm of review and renewing what is going on in the business. Make sure that things are legal and in writing, and make sure that you are on an ongoing basis exploring, you know, the values individually and as a business, and what that means in terms of behaviors. Okay, so for those of you who this has got thinking, then, you know, I would invite you to come and have a quick call with me. I've got a link in the description, and that will bring you to my online diary, and you can see where you can book in there automatically. So you know, so do that, because it's amazing when you actually talk with somebody else and actually start to explore these things, that you might very quickly find some ways to either unblock and improve things, or if things are already going well, that you can actually accelerate them and have them going even better. Okay, so have you found today's show valuable? If you have, please share this out with your contacts. I'm on a mission to help as many creative business owners as I can, and you can help me do that by liking, commenting and sharing this out with your contacts. Do remember, click on the link, book an appointment with me if you fall into this category. So I'm Una Doyle, founder of creativeflow.tv, business coach for creatives, and remember, the fortune is in the flow. Okay, see you same time next week. Bye.